Guys, it's Grim and welcome back to the channel. Yeah guys, so different video today. If you guys are new here, I go by the name of Grim and I'm primarily a Conflict of Nations YouTuber, but I also post all different types of gaming content. But for today's video, I am actually showing you guys what is the best early game strategy for Conflict of Nations. So yeah guys, this is going to be more of an in-depth video on how to get a really good early game strategy for your Conflict of Nations match. So yeah, we'll go ahead and start it off. The first thing that I want you guys to ask yourself is what kind of country or state, if you're playing in Battleground USA, are you? So that really matters because depending on what kind of country or state you are, you might have a bunch of cities on the coast. So for example, I am Madagascar in this video. I'll be showcasing this Madagascar playthrough that I'm currently doing for the remainder of this video, just because I think it's a good example of a good early game strategy. And we're actually at day 9 here, about to be day 10, so it's still very early game. So I'll give you guys a good overview of how kind of things will roll out in the early game. So it does really matter what kind of country you are, because depending on what country you chose in your game, you might have a bunch of cities here on the coast. And for example, as Madagascar, we do right here. We do have one city in the middle here that is, of course, not on the coast. It's in the middle of our land right here. And this really matters because this shows us that all of our cities right here are on the coast, and they can be attacked by any type of navy. Infantry can come in here and they could take us out very easily. And the main reason why this is very important is because any one of these cities can be attacked by a navy. If a player has a very strong navy, they could absolutely obliterate you if you do not have a navy yourself. And you should really take advantage of a navy, especially if all your cities here are on the coast. So maybe we can give another example of, yeah, like the Philippines has pretty much all their cities on the coast. So you definitely need a navy. Another example is Japan. You definitely need a navy because all your cities are also on the coast. So yeah, you definitely got to take advantage of having a navy in Conflict of Nations, especially if you have a bunch of cities that are on the coast. So yeah, Madagascar, you definitely need to have a strong navy. And as you guys can see, we have a bunch of destroyers here on our coast. So yeah, that's like the number one thing that I would first ask yourself is what kind of country you are. And if you do have a lot of cities on the coast, then definitely first thing you would prioritize is to have a very strong navy. And another example I'll give is that if you are a country that is not on the water, so let's give a good example here. So let's say you are Poland, and I actually just put the political view on so you guys could kind of see where Poland is. A lot of your cities right here are not actually on the water. This one is, and this one is too. I think these are homeland cities of his. Yeah, this one's a homeland city, as well as this one. This one's just occupied. Okay, so yeah, you only have 2 homeland cities that can technically be attacked by navy. So your main focus, if you were this country of Poland right here, you wouldn't really prioritize a navy first things first, because only 2 of your cities are on the coast here. So you definitely want to first prioritize things like tanks, support units, air force, and things of that nature, because a lot of your cities are not on the water. So now that you figured out what kind of country you are and what kind of things you should prioritize researching first, the next thing I would definitely ask yourself is, are you going for a solo win or are you going for a coalition win? I won't go into too much detail of what you should do if you are a solo player, as obviously, you know, it's all up to you if you are trying to get a solo win. And I wouldn't really recommend trying to get a solo win, especially if you're a new player, just because you would definitely need to be more of an experienced player to actually get a chance to actually do it and get a solo win. But you never know, you could be a new player and maybe get a solo win in a game if not a lot of people are playing. But yeah, we're going to go into detail now of what you should do and what's really important if you are in a coalition. So I'm in a coalition with 2 other players, and they are located in Africa. So one player is playing as Angola and the other is playing as Namibia. And the reason this is important is you must communicate with your other coalition members, not every day. It could be every day if you guys are doing some really in-depth communication, but I really urge you guys to communicate with your coalition members for the reason of researching. Now, if you do know what your other coalition members are researching, then I would actually research something that is not what they're researching and actually something that supports them. So for example, I know that I'm in a coalition here with Angola and Namibia, like we just stated. But I know that our friend Angola here is a rank 69. It's actually a way higher rank than I am. I think I'm rank 44 as of this video. And our friend Namibia here is also a high rank, I believe. So yeah, he's in rank 120, so even higher. So I know that both of my coalition members are very, very high rank. So what I want to do is I want to make their experience easier. So what I actually started to do is that since I know that they're probably researching infantry, of course, which you guys should always research any type of infantry. I definitely recommend motorized though. They're probably going to research tanks and support units and stuff like that. I have actually gone down the path of actually researching missiles. So yeah, I'm actually researching missiles in this game, and the reason for that is because since I know my other two coalition members are very strong players and they've already occupied a bunch of land here and it's only day 9, I'm actually going to make their jobs easier and go ahead and research missiles. For the reason that if you guys haven't used missiles already, it's basically just a bunch of splash damage and only takes a few minutes. Of course, you have to have your navy close to the area and you can only launch them so far. But what I want to do is I want to make their job easier, and since I'm already communicating with them and they want to occupy the rest of Africa here, I know that I could push out my destroyers and my cruisers and launch missiles to weaken these points that they want to capture and to go against other coalitions, and I'll be the one that attacks first and launch all of my missiles so they could send their infantry to take those cities over that I recently launched my missiles there, because of course my missiles would have weakened their units there and the city there too. So yeah, that's another part of a good early game strategy to have, is of course researching other things that your coalition isn't and trying to play around what they're good at and trying to make your team better and make the win easier for you and your coalition. So once you figure out what you're researching, I definitely would recommend you guys capture AI countries that are around you. A lot of times you'll get into games and there'll be kind of like maybe 1 or 2 AI countries that are near you, but usually in these cities you'll find 2 infantry. So as long as you send, I think, 3 or 4 infantry to that city to capture it, you should eliminate that infantry and then capture the city. And then of course leave your infantry there until the morale is at 35%, because then if you don't, then the rogue city will pop up and you don't want that happening. But yeah, I would definitely recommend you guys capture any AI countries that are around you in the early game. And you could tell if it's an AI country if you just click on the country and then click on this icon right here. And for mobile it might be different, but you guys should be able to do it still. And it should only say that one city is under their name and that they are not a actual player. So yeah, only one city should be under their name if it's an AI country. So that's just a way you could check. And usually it's just one little country you'll see and then a bunch of little provinces maybe around it. But yeah, you definitely want to capture those AI countries in your game. Another tip that I will say is that you always want to have some infantry defending your cities. And you don't want all of your infantry going out and attacking other countries and stuff early game, because at any moment, and I've had this happen in some of my games, at any moment other players can actually surprise attack you, and say if another player decides to attack you with a very strong unit, say it's like 5 or 6 or 7, maybe even more infantry all in one unit, they could absolutely destroy you. Because say if someone attacked me with like 8 infantries and they sent it here and then they sent it to go here and here and here and here, I would be pretty much done for, because all of my homeland cities are at that point are captured, or they go to a rogue infantry, and he just had one strong unit that wiped all of my units out. But if I have at least 1 or 2 infantry, which I do here, defending each of my cities, he wouldn't be able to do that, because I actually have, if you guys don't already know this, any unit that you have defending or just sitting in one of your cities actually gets a 25% defense bonus. So yeah guys, if you guys didn't know that, you can actually have defense bonuses for any type of unit that is stationed in your cities. So that's good to know. And so I would always recommend you guys have at least 1 or 2 infantry stationed in your cities before you guys start moving out your other units to attack other AI countries and whatnot. And my last and final tip for a good early game strategy to have is that once you guys have maybe taken a few AI countries, maybe you're in a coalition and you're researching currently what your other coalition members are not, and you're communicating with them what they're going to do in the future and how you're going to move forward in your game. Another thing I would recommend you guys do is consider attacking another country that is possibly inactive, that was a player at one point, but maybe they've gone inactive. So let's see if I can show you guys an example of that. Okay, so yeah, here's a good example. So you could tell that this guy is not active because he has nothing built in any of his cities. So if you guys happen to have a country near you that has nothing built in any of their cities, so for example, this country, Uyghur, I think that's how you pronounce that, has nothing built up in their cities, no army bases, no arms industries, no nothing. This is just comes with the start of the game, the start of his country. So that's there. He didn't build that. That's just from the start of the game. You always have a harbor in any of your coastal cities off rip. This is just a domed complex, so he didn't build that either. So we know that this guy is inactive, and if we wanted to even check what kind of player he is, okay, so he's a rank 6. So yeah, so what he probably did is that he probably hopped on the game and then just went inactive. And so if you have any type of country near you, and maybe it's day 6, maybe it's day 5 or later than that, I would definitely recommend you guys take these countries over that are inactive, just because it's pretty much like free land to have, and you know that they're gonna have some infantry laying there, but it's only gonna be 2 or 3, or maybe it's gonna be 1 recon unit and 2 infantry. It usually is in some of those other cities. But another thing that I would also stress is that if you guys decide to do that, there's a good chance that when they go inactive, their infantry will actually start moving around their provinces. So you guys actually could spot maybe an infantry here, infantry there, and so you guys will have to go through that if you guys want to capture some cities, if you might have to do that. And so that's another thing that I will say if you guys are going to do that. But that's another thing that I'd recommend, is that you guys actually attack these countries that are inactive, because it's pretty much free land, free resources to have these cities occupied. So yeah, so that is that. I think I showed you guys a good amount of information today. Hopefully I gave you guys a better sense of how to have a really good early game strategy in Conflict of Nations. So to sum it up, we talked about what kind of country you are, what kind of things you should be researching that aligns with your coalition, and make sure you guys communicate with your coalition, of course, and kind of play to their strong suits. Another thing that I mentioned was, of course, attack any AI countries that are around you, because you want to make use of those resources that they might have. And of course, there only should be around maybe 2 infantry, maybe even 1 infantry in that city that you have to take care of. But that should be no problem for you guys, even for new players. So you guys want to definitely take advantage of having those AI countries around you. And you want to make sure that you're also defending your cities with at least 1 or 2 infantries. And finally, definitely consider attacking another country near you that has gone inactive, because you definitely want more of those resources, guys, to continue your research and continue your mobilization of your units. So yeah, I hope I gave you guys a really good early game strategy to have. A lot of things I went through today, but if you guys like this type of content, I have plenty of more Conflict of Nations content on my channel. So definitely consider liking and subscribing if you guys want to see more stuff like this. But yeah, guys, Grim out.